Hello, everybody, and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf and to a little belated mid-month check-in because it is already the 21st something. But as I told you in the last video 2 weeks ago and in the community post, I was traveling, I was at my mom's, and I haven't found a good place to film there yet and a good time to film there, but I will try because I don't want to. I'm going to my mom regularly, so once a month, and I don't want to miss a video every month. So, but we'll get there. So a belated mid-month check-in, talking about the books that I've read. I have 2 that I can talk to you about, and the rest is basically what I'm reading now. There are a lot of rereads this month so far for various reasons, and basically almost all my books are buddy reads. So, which is good because after the 30 books in 30 days of August, I have kind of a not a book hangover. I never have a book hangover, but it's it's a lot to read those 30 books, and then the buddy read schedules help me going and finding books. So anyway, enough of that. The 2 books that I finished, the first was indeed a reread, and that was Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. We're ignoring the sticker because we don't like the book, so we don't care. Yes, it's not even on the reread. I did reread for a book club. I'm a member of a Politics and Prose online book club, which is really great, and the discussion is wonderful. And for September, the September pick was Demon Copperhead, and I read it 2 years ago and didn't like it, but I thought I'd give it another try. First of all, because so many people really loved it. And second of all, because I wanted to, reread it for the book club. Itchy nose. But no, it's just not my thing. Barbara Kingsolver is not for me. I really enjoyed that's too much. I enjoyed the Poisonwood Bible, even though the missionary stuff was not something that I'm really into. I read a couple of others, and the last I read, I think after Demon Copperhead or before Demon Copperhead, even, I don't know, Unsheltered. And I thought that was really bad and preachy. I just don't like her preachy tone. A lot of people don't think this is preachy, but I just felt it is a kind of retelling of David Copperfield. If you haven't read David Copperfield and have no inclination of reading David Copperfield, never mind. It is set in Appalachia, a young boy's life. Demon Copperhead, it's his nickname. He's called Damon, and from birth until in his 30s, and she tackles poverty, the opioid crisis, foster care system, all the things that about politically when it comes to people who are, to say the least, not well off. That's commendable. And even though David Copperfield is not one of my favorite books, she did a good job of transplanting that story into the modern times. But the predictability of it all really didn't gel with me. It was just as if she was checking boxes, single mom, drug use, check. Stepdad, abusive, check. Single mom, OD, check. Foster care system, bad, check. Abusive employers, child labor, check. Yeah. Give it a try. A lot of people loved it. It's not for me. And I decided that Kingsolver is just not my author. So anyway, the second book, and this was, by the way, the only book I think, in the whole stack that wasn't a buddy read, but it was for a book club. The second was a buddy read and a birthday present as well from Heidi from my reading life, and we read it together, and that was A Perilous Undertaking by Deanna Rayborn, and it's a Veronica Speedwell mystery. As you can see, it's the second in the mystery series, published in 2017, and we are way behind if we want to continue with the series. More about that in a minute, because I think there are 10 books out. We read the first one together and we really liked it. It's set in Victorian England, and the main character, Veronica Speedwell, is kind of a different woman. She's not your typical Victorian woman. She is very independent. She's a young woman, orphaned, but is the illegitimate child of royalty, but not that she has any money. But she is traveling. She is into butterflies. She calls herself a scientist. So a very different type of character. I really enjoy her. And she teams up with also a kind of an oddball from aristocracy. Stoker is his nickname. And they go on adventures, investigating crimes, things like that. So this one is the murder of a young woman, and her husband is in jail for the murder and will be hanged. And then Veronica and Stoker are asked to investigate. So that's the murder mystery. But the book mainly lives from the characters and the banter between Stoker and Veronica, the commentary, so to speak, on Victorian life. And that is all really good, but this was not as good as the first one. The mystery was really clunky. It was too much of this tension between Stoker and Veronica that was, the reader was hit over the head with that tension between the two. Sexual tension, and that was just too much, because it will go on for a while, and it was just not there. So what we decided to do, Heidi and I, is that we will read the third book at some point, because it is, the charming, light type of reading that you sometimes need. So I would really like to continue with this series. But what we will do, like I said, we will read the third one. And if that is better, we might continue. But if it's not an improvement from the second one, because often the second one in a series is kind of a, the first one was really good, and then the second one is meh. So we'll give it another try, and then we'll see. So those are the two books that I finished, and I'm in the middle of 4 books, 3 fiction, 1 non-fiction. Let's start with the one that I'm started first, and that is also a reread, in the sense, let me show you the book first. It's The Ministry of Utmost Happiness by Arundhati Roy, published in 2000 and something. 2017. And I DNF'd this book. When it came out, I read it. So that is 7 years ago or something. And I think I read maybe 50, not even 100 pages for sure. And I just didn't like it. I had no idea what was going on. So I DNF'd it. I did then decide to reread it, and I'm reading it with Joe Smith. Hi, Joe. And because in the meantime, I read a lot of nonfiction, I read nonfiction by Arundhati Roy. I watched a lot of her interviews. I think she's a fascinating woman. Her activism, her radical approach to things, her no nonsense, not taking shit from anybody kind of interviews. I really love her. So I thought, give it another try. And I'm so glad I did, because I love it. I really do. I think I did not understand enough of India and of the topics that she is talking about to be able to enter the book, if that makes sense. Not that I'm now knowing that much about India, but a little more. So the story has various, there are various storylines. One major storyline is about Anjum, Hijra, which is not a trans person per se. Anjum is not a trans person, but she is, I don't know whether that's still scientifically the correct term, a hermaphrodite. So she has sexual organs, both female and male. She was first raised as a boy, but she feels the female part is the more dominant. So she is now living her life as a woman. So that is a part of the story. She starts a guest house for, the people who are not wanted, so to speak. And there's a second timeline or storyline with the Kashmir situation, a young woman called Tilo, who then the storylines converge. In the end, we're 2/3 in, so I'm almost finished. I will finish it today because we have our check-in tomorrow. And I just love the way she crafts a story, Arundhati Roy. I mean, how she is engaging us in the political situation in India. So yeah, I'm really happy that I gave this book another try, which goes to show sometimes it's just not the right time for a book, or it's something else that, so sometimes it's worth picking up a DNF and giving it another try. And sometimes it doesn't work, of course. I mean, yeah. Then the three other books, the first one is also a buddy read with Terri, and that is Louise Erdrich, The Mighty Red, which came out with a sticker a year ago. And if you have been following my channel for a while, you know that 2 years ago, Terri and I started to read all of Louise Erdrich's novels, in the order of the publication date. And so now a new book came out a year ago, or last year, I think it was in the fall. And we as long as Louise Erdrich is producing, we will read her book. So this is about a group of younger people with focus on a girl called Kismet, who's 18, and her group of friends she's marrying, even though she doesn't really want to. And there is something happened. And in the beginning of the book, we can only imagine, because it's not told. So it's kind of told backwards. But I just started the book, so I don't know yet whether it will work for me. And then a buddy read with Adam from Memento Mori, and we are reading Memento Mori by Muriel Spark. It's a reread for Adam. It's a first read for me. I think I read the book 20 or 30 years ago in German, but I've never read the English, and I have read very little Muriel Spark. I loved The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, and this book is one of her famous novels, published in 1959. Obviously, Muriel Spark, by the way, was a Scottish writer, first part of the 20th century. She died in 2006 something, I think. And this is a book that a setting or a group of characters that are not often portrayed in novels, I feel, because it's a group of old people. Everybody is above 70. And one character, you can see the telephone here playing a major role, because one of the main characters, upper class Dame, yeah, it's her title. So Dame Letty Colston gets these weird phone calls. Somebody on the other side of the line says, remember that you will die, memento mori. And the group of people around her brother, his wife, who is suffering from dementia. You have a former housekeeper of Letty, who is now in a nursing home for the not so rich, because most people in this friend group are upper class. But you have also the quote unquote servants. So it's a commentary on English society, but also commentary on how we treat elderly people. And as my mom is old, she's not elderly, she's old, she's 95, almost. She still lives on her own, so that's good. But the way we tend to sometimes treat older people, like we infantilize them, for instance, in the nursing ward, where one of the not so well-to-do old woman lives, they are called Granny Taylor, Granny Smith, Granny. The way she portrays that, and this was 1959, nothing much has changed. So this is really, it's funny, but it's also poignant in a way. And I'm really enjoying it. And then the last one is another buddy read with Heidi, whom I already mentioned from my reading life, which is a reread for me and a new read for her. She is reading this for Shorty September because it's only 130 pages, non-fiction. Rebecca Solnit, Men Explain Things to Me and Other Essays, 2014, I think. It's 10 years. Yeah, 2014, 10 years. And the main or the first essay was the start of the word mansplaining, because Solnit talks about an event where, a man explained her own book to her. So yeah, that was really funny. I just love her essays. I love her wit. I love her sharp observational power. So I'm really enjoying the reread of this. But I'm not going to say much more because I want to check in with Heidi first. So those are the 2 books that I've finished in September and the 4 books that I will finish before I wrap up the month. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, leave me a comment. I'm looking forward to your comments, and I will see you all in the next one next Sunday.